Okay, so we just saw that we have to say $1 for jQuery. Step 2 is that you make sure that you're including a content delivery network version of jQuery, or you download jQuery and include that in the head portion of um, your HTML. Okay, because jQuery does a lot of manipulation of your DOM, you want to make sure that the document is ready to go. What I mean by that is all your HTML is generated, all your images are loaded, all your scripts are ready, everything is ready for you to manipulate. So that's the idea. So let me just remove this. So that is the function that does is the $document.ready function. So the dollar means jQuery, document.ready tells you that jQuery can be used to manipulate the DOM at this point, and you will not get any more errors if you do that. So instead of saying this verbose $document.ready function, you can just say this dollar function. That is more than enough. Okay, so that's what I have here. So if you want to use jQuery, this is the very first function you have to have inside your JS file. Okay. Today, the idea is for us to be sure that we cover some content on how to use jQuery to access elements, okay, and access styles. So that is what we are going to see today. Accessing selectors. So what are the three types of selectors that we have seen? Get element by ID. Then we had get elements by tag name, get elements by class name. So these are some things that we saw when we manipulated the DOM. When we work with DOM, we always say document dot so these are the three, some of the selectors we saw, and this helped us to pick an element using, these helped us to access an element or a group of elements from the HTML using JavaScript, right? So you all remember this. So let us see, instead of using JavaScript, if we use jQuery, how that would look. Instead of this guy, what are we going to do in jQuery? So in jQuery, you always start with a dollar. Okay, get element by ID. Let us say the ID goes here, right? So here what we do is inside here we put the ID. So if you want to access this header, h1 with an ID as header, you just go give that here. Okay, that this is going to give you access to the header. Okay, that's all you have to do. That and then you can do whatever you want with that. So when you say this means elements by class name. So if you use a dot, it's going to give you class name. Sorry, this is how you use for ID. This is ID. You have to have the pound key, the dot for using the class name. For tag names, you don't have to do all of that. You just give the tag name. So we would say $h1. Right? So I'm just showing you how the selectors have become really small. See, instead of writing this lengthy statement, you can write this short condensed form because all the work's being done for you. And that's the beauty of it. So that is what makes jQuery very likable, because it makes life easy for everyone. It kind of like makes it kind of like shrinks the time it takes to write code because the function already does it for us. So that's the reason why it is easy. So if you want to hide a header, you would just say dot hide. So before you would say display colon none. Okay. Instead of that, you can just directly say hide. If you want to hide all the headers, you would say hide all the headers that have that class. So if you don't want that and you want to show it, you would say show. Okay. So let us say that you want to take all the headers and then you want to change the style on this header. Okay. So how would we do it before? We would just access then we would say style.color, whatever it is, we would do that. So right now there are two different ways you can do that. So you can just say CSS and then you would give the CSS class name and then the value, or your style name and then the value. So you would just say color, oops, and then here you would say red. That should change or set the color property to red. You don't have to say style and all that here. You just say .css color red. Okay. So let us say instead of color, you want to just say the font family. You can just say the name and then you're good to go. Okay. So we will test them all one by one. The other thing I want to show you is how to associate an event. So we have buttons on our page. Button 1. I want to hide something when I click on button 1. Let's say that's what I want to do. So the way it goes is you would say the ID is going to be button 1 dot, instead of click you would say this event. This on event is going to associate a click event to your button and also associate the event handler for your button. So you would just say click. This is very similar to your add event listener. So you would just say function, anonymous function. This is all the same. And then let us say here, then we want to hide something. So let's see what we can hide here. How about we hide this guy, this article. So we can just say dollar. This is the class name, so you need a dot. And then when you click on the second button, that's the show, you would do a show here. So these guys are going to toggle. Let's take these out for the moment. Okay, this is using tags. This is using ID. This is using class. Okay, and here we are seeing how to associate an event with an element using jQuery. Okay, so like I said before, jQuery uses if you see a $sign in your code, that's because at that time you're making a call to a jQuery function. jQuery is nothing but a library of pre-written events and functions that makes life easier for a JavaScript developer. So in order to modify style, you can use the CSS function, the method, or you can also do a add class and remove class. So let's say for the same h1 header, you want to remove some class and add some class. Okay, so let us